Welcome back to the channel. This is Football Temple brought to you by Azar Studios. Now, the race to replace or to succeed Ademola Lookman as African Footballer of the Year is on. Nigerians have won the award back-to-back after almost a 2-year decade absence, when a Nigerian was able to win the African Footballer of the Year. Ademola Lookman almost certain not to retain the title he won in 2024. Who will be the next African Footballer of the Year? Onkani-san joins me on set, and of course, the Bishop. Hopefully, he will use his priest eyes to predict the next African Footballer of the Year. We've looked at all permutations of African footballers across the globe, and our Superbook predictor has come up with 5 players who we feel should be in the running. At number 5 is Egyptian Prince Omar Marmoush. Fantastic season with Eintracht Frankfurt and then moved to Manchester City, where of course he ended up with the Premier League goal of the season. 7 goals since joining Manchester City, and 23 he scored in Eintracht Frankfurt. Put him on our list at number 5. Number 4 comes in the man who is from Guinea with an outside chance. Many wanted him to win. He was in the top 5 of the last edition, won by, of course, Ademola Lookman. Serhou Guirassy plays football in Borussia Dortmund. Second highest goal scorer in the German Bundesliga. Joint second highest goal scorer in the German Bundesliga. And of course, also finishing as joint highest goal scorer in the UEFA Champions League, scoring 13 goals and scoring 23 in the Bundesliga. At number 3 is former African Footballer of the Year, Victor James Osimhen. Of course, a double champion with a Turkish side, the Galatasaray, winning the Turkish Cup and, of course, the Turkish League, including winning the Player of the Season. 37 goals in all competition for Victor Osimhen. The Nigerian is, of course, standing there in no particular order, but in number 3. In number 2, in no particular order also, is the man who led Liverpool to their 20th league title. His name, Mohamed Salah, the first player in almost a long time to win the Playmaker and of course the highest goal scorer in the Premier League, finishing as top scorer and player of the season. The Egyptian king, yes, his favourite to reclaim the title. He lost about 3 years ago to, of course, Nigerian Victor Osimhen. And number 1, the golden boy of Moroccan football, is wanted to win the African Footballer of the Year for the last 5 years. He's come so close, but he's never had a chance to win it. Winning a quadruple, of course, becoming the very first defender to score in the quarterfinal, in the semi-final, and in the final of the UEFA Champions League. Achraf Hakimi, of course, has scored 9 goals, in total, and had 12 assists to help Paris Saint-Germain win the Champions League, the French League 1, the French Cup, and of course the French League Cup. Who should be the next African Footballer of the Year? Onkani-san, Bishop, it's a tough one.
Now when you're just talking, right? Good thing is African football is getting interesting by the day. I'll just racking my brain. Which year do we have an African footballer that everybody could actually predict and say, this is the person that's going to win? It's been a while.
Long time ago.
But this time around, it's so easy and so clear. So I think the battle is not in who is going to win, but who is going to make up the top 5, or who is going to finish in what position in the top 5. Because if you actually is going to win from what you actually just mentioned right now, that
there's only one winner.
It's a no-brainer, Hakimi, Achraf. Simple and straightforward. I think shortly after that game that day, I said undoubtedly he deserves it. You understand? And I see
finally it's coming home.
I'm standing on that ground that come on, he's the person. But now probably the debate might end up being, which it does not matter today. It matters in the long run because history will say when he was playing, he finished so position. It's probably the position 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Because there'll be a lot of back and forth. Now, the biggest issue is this. These are democratic in nature. People vote. So they are subjective, you understand? At times, merit does not count to some extent. At times, they put away. And we just spoke about Jokic in the other this and I mentioned it. They said there was voter apathy or voter fatigue. So maybe it was no longer, you understand, I was fatigue. You understand? So you mentioned 5 names. in no particular order, but if I'm going to mention them in particular orders, probably it might be different from what you're thinking. It might be different from what you're thinking. So, but for who is going to win, come on, it's pretty straightforward.
So let's go for the top 3.
Yep. Okay, top 3?
Wait, before we go to the top 3, no, so let me hear from you. These 5 players had fantastic seasons. You cannot take it away from them. I feel for Marmoush because maybe Salah will take his vote. And it might not end up being in the main top 5.
Exactly. No, but he's going to be disastrous if he's not going to be part of the top 5. But who does better?
I know.
Who did better? Okay, fine.
Salah,
yeah, no.
This goal scoring mechanism.
No, I'm talking about Marmoush.
Marmoush is a
maybe
fantastic player.
honorary mention, maybe Wissa and Mbemo.
There's Mbemo, Brian Mbemo, there's Wissa, Congo.
Yeah.
Also, Brother had a great season with Brentford.
Maybe each of them, I think, scored 20 something.
There's man as well.
You cannot rule out the man also.
Yeah, you can't rule out the man
as well.
Of course.
So he had a good season as well. But like you said, I think it's visible to the blind and audible to the deaf.
Yeah.
That the best player in Africa is Achraf Hakimi.
Right now.
He's finally won.
Amazingly a defender.
Yeah.
After a long. When was that time?
When last time he was a defender? It's been a while, man. It's been strikers. But football is evolving.
Well, when last the defender also win the Ballon d'Or or the FIFA best since Fabio Cannavaro.
Exactly.
And the 2006 World Cup.
Exactly.
That was the last time.
Yeah, but people are
20 years ago.
But football is evolving. We now see Van Dijk at least competing in the top 3. It wasn't so before, you know. So
Van Dijk won footballer of the
No, he did not.
No, he didn't finish second.
Okay.
So it tells you that there's Modric midfielder win the player of the year. So football now begins to look at they are not only strikers in football, they are defenders, they are goalkeepers.
I think the biggest issue was. Sorry to cut you short, right? It was the dominance of Messi and Ronaldo make us feel that it's all about the strikers.
Yeah,
it's all about goals.
It's all about numbers.
Yeah, it's all about numbers.
Those guys were in a different world of their own.
Like I understand. So they dominated for so
those
long.
days. Remember, I'll tell you, those guys should create a football in a different planet and play. Maybe in Mars or in Pluto, because the numbers was astronomical. It was out of this world.
And they were all strikers. I mean, they were all
exactly.
I mean, they were all in the front line.
Who scored 60 goals in a season?
98 in the calendar year.
70. Those guys were not human beings.
So
they should play with the heavenlies.
Now the impact is it now makes people think. Each time you talk about Africa, a footballer of the year,
everybody
thinks of the striker, the goals.
Because those guys made
nobody consider any
those
other
guys
factor.
made football unbelievable.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be.
But
like I said,
those guys were different.
They were different human beings. They shouldn't be. Now we need to change our mindset from the mindset of it has to be the goals.
Thank God
there are other metrics.
Nobody's scoring 40 anymore. Nobody's scoring 50 anymore.
Salah did almost 40 if I'm not mistaken.
He didn't get to 40.
Everything put together.
Absolutely. At least you get to 40.
Close to 40.
I know what I'm saying. So the good thing is that
even under those numbers are still
the
insane.
superhuman beings have left us and gone to the MLS and in Saudi Arabia. Thank you very much for all you've done. But let's look at football from a holistic point of view.
Yeah.
From the realistic point of view.
Exactly. You know, first of all, Abdul knows I'm not a big fan of individual award because I believe football is a team sport.
It's a team sport, yeah.
And that you can score 50 goals and concede 51 goals, you've lost.
Manchester United.
Thank you very much.
That's why I finish with negative goal difference every season.
And you know one of my biggest issues, I think in our next episode, we need to look at critically the criteria for winning African Footballer of the Year.
What's the criteria?
What are the criteria? Because nobody talks about these things. What we just keep talking about are the numbers that they put out there.
And don't forget,
now,
if there was an African
Footballer, their performance, of course.
Why I'm saying this, right?
Their performance.
Why I'm saying this, right?
2
seasons ago, the guy that won the MVP in the NBA didn't play up to 65 number of games.
Yeah,
but then suddenly there was a change in everything.
Rule, say you must play.
They now said you must play a particular number of games. You must do this, you must do this, you must do this. At least you must play 65 games in the season to qualify to,
do we have that same rule
I think in AFCON,
have we seen a season where a player who played less game win? The answer is no. So it's not possible.
So, but
for a player who has played less games,
we still need to know the criteria because maybe the criteria, maybe the numbers.
No, it's clear. Your performance for a club and national team.
I understand. And what kind of performance? What kind of performance? Is it defensive performance? Is it offensive performance?
No, when you say performance, of course, standard performance now.
How comes you always consider, even in this thing that we're talking about, we're talking about Hakimi because of the number of goals he scored.
And the part of goals is
he's not the only African that
but he's only scored 9 goals.
So
scored 9
I'm talking about all in all put together, both in the league and in Champions
League. 9 goals in total.
How many assists?
12 assists in total.
Simple for a defender who win practically everything. Right?
That's huge.
So that's what we're talking about here.
But that's what performance because for Hakimi.
Is it that's what I know where it's coming from. Let me come here. Let me come here. Does it mean that he's the best defensive right back? Don't feel like his first duty as right back is a defender. So people don't look at that. They look at the goals, what he won. But
let's pick a right back right now. Let's pick a right back. Who is better right now than Achraf Hakimi? Right
in
now.
Africa?
in the world, at the top of your head, right now, than Achraf Hakimi.
I think all the whole right back had a bad season.
So who is better than Hakimi?
I can't buy a good
the answer is nobody.
No.
So it means that you are struggling to
Don't conclude.
Okay,
Don't conclude.
It cannot be.
Don't call Alexander Arnold alone.
So who is the right back?
Of course not. Just let me talk. Let me talk. The guys in Inter was the guy that
Dumfries had a fantastic season.
He's not a right back.
Dumfries.
He's a wing back.
He's a back. He's on the back. You understand? So you actually make a case for him.
No, you want to pick Hakimi and Dumfries as a right back. You pick Dumfries. The answer is no.
Here's what we're trying to say. The point we're trying to make clear here is this, right? Let's look at the holistic. You understand? Like I said, with all the trophies. If Hakimi did not score those number of goals with all the defensive prowess, nobody was talking about him. So why is goals?
So performance. Why is goals? Performance comes into the conversation.
Cannavaro. Listen to me now. Listen to me now. How many goals did Cannavaro scored before?
He was instrumental performance.
He won goals. So that's what we're talking about here. It must not be goals alone. Yes. Our issue is this: why emphasis on goals? Why so much emphasis on goals?
For Hakimi, it's not on the goals.
It's on the goals.
It's on the performance.
It was on the goals. Yeah, he has a
his goals is not
defensively. Defense
because they had goals. Yes,
they had a good game. I mean, they had a good team at some point. Like, I need to go and think. This question just took me unaware. I need to go and look at other right backs to understand across Europe top 5 and put them side by side with Hakimi. Believe me, probably the only difference might be Hakimi scored more than them. Maybe that's when it comes to his traditional duty, which is making sure that we concede less. There should be guys actually maybe. I don't even know. Maybe Luis Maiskelly. I don't want to call that completely.
Come on. Now, Hakimi, no.
Our point is this, right? We should stop looking at it from one angle. Now we look at most of this award mostly from one angle. Goals. The performance is goals. You understand? It's a team sport, like you see it. So other performance should be considered.
Like
each time
holistic defensive duty, attacking duties, contribution, distance covered.
Okay,
did you work hard?
Wait, now I love what you broke down. Defensive duties, attacking duties,
supporting contribution,
your creativity.
Now let's speak. I know I want us to stick with Achraf Hakimi.
Yeah.
Now let's speak in defensive duties. Paris Saint-Germain were not the.
Get me right.
No,
we are not saying
Morocco. Remember,
our issue.
National team.
Don't get something wrong. Our issue is the nature of why is the award always more on one particular? Why is goal the most dominant factor when it comes to consideration for the award? That's our issue here.
But it was not the dominant factor.
In his case, the dominant factor
was not the best scorer last season. Neither was it the best scorer. He
had a fantastic goal scorer season.
No, but he still went on to win it.
And he's democratic. We spoke about that too. We say he's democratic in nature, so voting counts too. You understand? Impact.
They want Salah, who scored more goals than him.
Yeah, but Salah did not win anything.
Exactly.
You understand? He won something. So those are the factors.
I'm about winning something for a winger, which Ademola man he had a great goal scorer for a team like Atalanta. Let's be realistic. We go check his figure last season. It was superb. And that's why he was
double digit for goal.
Exactly.
Last season equally was
African Player of the Year as well. Africa AFCON, you don't forget about.
He
had a cracking AFCON. He scored 4 goals in the AFCON.
Got to the final.
Nigeria's highest top goal scorer in that competition. One of the reasons why Nigeria got to the finals, the brightest light in that tournament. So let's be realistic, man. So like I keep saying this, see, I want to look at like a holistic point of view. I'm not very fan of this because I believe for you to win a game, your defense must be solid. Defense must be solid. If Atia was not giving those passes to Due, they would have scored those goals.
If the defense wasn't as solid against Arsenal, if the defense wasn't as solid as that, and that was the issue Barca had.
Exactly, Barca was scoring goals. Alami was reckoning numbers.
They were not defending.
They were losing games.
So it's a holistic. That's why we say, can we have it in clear times? These are the area we look at. It's not too much to ask. So I wonder why you're speaking on their behalf. They should clearly tell us. You understand? I wonder when he becomes the CAF online media officer. You understand?
Maybe there's an opening for me there. You never can tell.
So back to your question, right?
The topic point.
The truth is this: there is going to be a lot of debate because when it comes to who's going to win, I think almost everybody will agree that Hakimi deserves it 100%.
I quite agree. The guy has been. Now, I had a crack.
Who come next?
For every tournament he has played, he has won.
Almost everybody will agree that Salah come next. You understand? High goal scorer, won the league. You know,
untouchable, player of the season, top scorer, playmaker of the season. One of the most handsome guys in the Premier League.
In one of the top European leagues. These two guys we're talking about are in the 5 top European leagues.
Yeah.
Not that first.
Top 5 leagues.
Top European league. Now, the next person probably I will mention, maybe there are people who listen, is in the top 5 European league, which is Serhou Guirassy.
Serhou
Guirassy.
Interesting.
Had a fantastic season in the Champions League. Scored 13 goals. He's a joint high goal scorer.
Top scorer.
No African player has ever No,
won the
I'm
Golden
coming now.
Boot.
No African footballer player have ever scored, I think, up to 10 goals in the
Yes,
season
yes, Champions
in Champions League. He did more than that. He did double numbers. 13.
Within the Golden
listen to me.
Boot, put it there.
Listen to me. This guy played extra game to catch up with him. What's his name?
Rafinha played more games.
Played more games to catch up with him. If they had played the same number of games, he'd
They
have
would
been the
have
high
won
goal
the
scorer.
yes.
Right.
Alone, stand alone.
Going back, they had a terrible season as a club domestically.
But he had a great season.
But he's still
individually.
the second high goal scorer in that
In the
league.
league. Yes, 23 goals.
It didn't amount to anything. I understand that because,
They
like we
qualified for
always
the
say,
Champions League.
eh?
At least they qualify for the Champions League.
Yeah, which is the most important thing. Which is one of those. I mean, Chelsea celebrated. Funny enough, when it comes to the domestic competition, and that's another new trophy for a lot of teams like Chelsea and the rest of them.
Yeah.
He's the Arsenal trophy.
No, he has become Chelsea trophy. So let's leave it there.
Maresca's trophy.
So you have him there, right? In as much as people want to bring now, why I'm mentioning this so that people understand something. That's what they call coefficient in Europe. Goals are not the same.
No.
When you score
Top
in
five
England now.
leagues.
Now maybe next person people will be talking about Osimhen. I agreed, fantastic season, won the leagues, scored 38 goals from
7 goals in all competition.
37 goals in all competition. But he plays in a league that is rated the ninth league.
in Europe.
In Europe.
Meaning that for every goal he scored is 1.5.
Yeah, 1.5.
Efficient
For
wise.
Europe, for the top
if-
line is 2.0.
Yeah. So if you're gonna put the value of these 2 goals, it means the goals Serhou scored has
Guirassy
more
has more
value.
weight than what he's done.
The weight of those goals.
Yeah.
It means the goals. What's his name?
Guirassy.
Guirassy scored weightier than his goals.
But Guirassy
But
ended trophyless.
he ended up trophy. That's where the debate comes in. They will say, "Oh, okay, he scored this number of goals."
And these goals were important.
They
to
were,
them when the
of
title.
course, they were important.
Yeah.
Of course, they were important.
An absolute beast.
And he scored those goals against a stronger
Tough
opponent.
teams, tough teams.
Stronger opponent than Victor Scott.
Osimhen, yes.
I'm not going to take away
How many
anything
top
from.
teams I Bundesliga?
No, I'm talking about Euro.
No,
Okay,
because
Champions
yeah,
League,
Champions
13
League,
goals.
Champions League.
Yes,
yeah.
Osimhen
When
played in
you
Europa.
go
Osimhen
back-
scored 6 goals in the Europa League.
And was
When-
knocked out.
And before they
When
were
you even
dumped
go
out.
back to the German league, I think right now there are about 6-7 teams that are strong in the German
No,
league.
I
right
Yes,
agree. I
yes.
agree. I'm
So
not going to dispute.
it's a top league. So I think that's where the debate will be interesting. Who comes in among the top? I mean,
So you're going for
in the top-
Guirassy, you're
Sincerely speaking, I'm going with Guirassy.
Okay.
Then I will go with. I wouldn't want to because saying anything further probably people might think I'm
They come for
disrespecting. No, yeah, people might think I'm
So
disrespecting.
Omar Marmoush ahead of even if Victor Osimhen.
Now you can't put Omar Marmoush ahead of this because why I'm putting Guirassy there because he's performing in Champions League.
Okay.
We know it's the elite competition in Europe where the best of the best play. You understand? We know how watered down the Europa League was this season. The reason why you have 2 struggling teams in England playing it in the final of the Europa League is because there was nobody there. Almost everybody was in Champions League. 36 teams, if I'm not mistaken. It means every good team, every team that knows what is doing. I mean, how many teams that are there in Europe when you have 36 competing? What you're left with? Come on, chaff down there. So because of the goals he scored in Champions League, that is why I'm putting him. But when it comes to the 4th position, come on, is a no-brainer for me.
I may not agree with
Same.
you on the top 3, but I think the top 2 it sorts out itself. Mohamed Salah is a cracking guy. You know how much I love that guy. He's an absolute beast. He's an iconic fellow.
What if Salah going to win it?
I wouldn't even mind.
Well, I won't even
mind.
How? That's going to be a shock.
Because
That'll be pure robbery.
Salah has been.
That'll be pure
Once I
robbery.
look at his consistency, Salah has been
Man,
there for.
this guy knocks Salah. This guy knocks Salah out of Champions League.
Oh yes, he did.
Hakimi.
On
He
penalties.
knocked, whether on penalty or what, he
penalties.
knocked, whether penalty or no, I mean, he knocked,
And the reason why
They
Liverpool
played
were
90
knocked
minutes
out
together.
because Salah did not step up.
whether he stepped up or not.
If he stepped up,
a-
it would have been a different story
a
altogether.
little Nuno Mendes somewhere there stopped Salah from stepping
No,
up.
Salah was on holiday. No, but
Whether he
that's-
was only or not. Now, let's leave it. He knocked out Salah in Champions League.
Yeah, I agree.
So
But
if-
I think if he does,
if
I
you're
won't
gonna
mind.
pick
I
this
won't
guy-
mind. Because like I tell you, like you said, the top 2 sorts out himself.
Yeah,
You
top
know?
two sorts out
Salah,
himself, yeah.
Hakimi.
So your own.
But I think I'll go with Hakimi personally.
No,
but I
at
think
number 3.
it has to be Victor Osimhen, man.
Okay, I'm listening to you.
Ahead of Guirassy.
Oh yeah, why not? No, Guirassy, like he said, he did all this goal scoring, but it mattered.
In where?
I'm looking at the impact.
No, where?
Osimhen, when last did Galatasaray win the double?
Where?
Do you know how much they screamed that man's name in Turkey?
I understand that.
The
but
fans love him.
We're looking at the
The
quality
wives
of
of
the
the
league.
fans love him.
We're looking at the
They
quality
want
of
to
the
they want to crowd fund to keep him.
Now, so I understand patriotism.
The guy is
right?
iconic.
See, I understand
And
patriotism.
iconic-
I'm
No,
not
this is
taking
not patriotism.
anything. I'm
No,
not
no,
taking.
no. This is first season.
Are you going
If there's-
with patriotism
No,
or fact?
he knows me very well. When it comes to Osimhen, I'm one of the most blunt to when I come to if I tell a lot of things Osimhen need to improve on right now, I'll be like, is it this guy calling Osimhen? But I didn't believe he would go into Turkey. And in his first season,
mind you-
he's this kind of numbers.
Mind you, I didn't take anything away from him when we were looking at the weight of the leagues. Now, how are you going to feel? I can remember when Biaso.
But you expect him to
Listen
get
me
his
now.
numbers
I'm
in
coming now.
Turkish Super League.
Sincerely speaking, I did not, and I'm surprised. And
I'm surprised as well.
Why? Okay, the question is, why am I even calling him? Why am I struggling to justify why Guirassy should be there? It shows
does the weight of the league.
I acknowledge what he did.
Yeah.
Now it reminds me of when is it BSL, the lead coach? Was
Bielsa.
among the top,
Bielsa.
Bielsa, I think was it the COVID year
Yeah.
that he was among the top 3 coaches.
Yeah. And
That-
you were asking
because
why.
I was asking why.
When it was in Bilbao.
Second division lead, second
Champions
division
League.
Okay,
championship.
Championship, yes.
How will you use championship where you have weaker opponents?
have-
So the same argument. I'm
So
trying
we
to put
argue
up
that
here.
championship is more true. It's more stringent.
Forget about who is playing there, right? So the same argument I'm actually putting
Yeah, for
up
me to
here.
say, yeah.
You have a Guirassy that scored 13 goals in the Champions League. The same Champions
League,
that
the
Victor has
biggest
played.
league of
The same
the
Champions
world.
that Adebayo has played, that Okocha has played, that Kanu has played, that Drogba has played, that even the guy that won the only what they call it World Footballer of the Year in Africa, what was his name? George Weah has
George
played.
Weah.
All of these guys played. None of them has done double figure in a single season. He did it in a team that is not the most fanciest.
Okay.
He's not in Chelsea. He's not in Arsenal. He's not in Man U. he's not in this-
Kayagi played more games because of the new
I
format.
did the new play new more games, yes, but come on. By the time you want to even take away where they get knocked out, you could say the same number of games.
I don't know, yeah.
So what are we talking about here?
So you are going with Osimhen.
Osimhen number 3. Unfortunately, I don't know why I don't want to get my Guirassy. Guirassy will be 5th. Omar Marmoush. I think that guy is magnificent, man. I'm trying to, even for the fact that Omar Marmoush didn't win anything with Man City.
You have people
Because when it came to the Premier League, people were like, oh, well, can he step up? He's in Bundesliga. He's gone to a big league. Boy, oh boy, he set the ground running.
people are just. I mean, people are just funny because
Yes.
you don't ask that kind of question, right? You ask yourself
The
this simple
guy,
question.
the guy hit the ground running, man.
Nothing like surprise here.
I'm not
Where
surprised.
do
People
this
were
guy come from?
surprised.
Where did this guy come from?
From
Erling
Eintracht
Haaland.
Frankfurt in Germany.
Alan came from Dortmund.
Dortmund,
First season, touch something
Yes.
goes. Make no sense. So anybody that's saying I'm from and this,
No,
it
because
doesn't
the
matter.
kind of team he was playing for. No, the other from them were punching and far above their weight
Bro,
when he was there.
you go and
he
check,
was the
go and
factor.
check that thing. Go and check.
Somebody
Frankfurt.
thought about Mahmoud because of Salah in Egypt. If Mahmoud was in a different African club, he would have been the toast of the world, but there's a king already. You don't have to take, like you said, the prince of Egypt. You have to take the princely role. Because come on, man. But I tell Mahmoud, I'll take Mahmoud head of Guirassy. But again, I'm not CAF. But I can tell you, what I can
So
tell
to
that-
you, Mamu is going to be ahead of Guirassy.
I
So
don't think-
Guirassy is even going to be taught.
Nah.
Surprising.
Nah.
Well, we wait to see how that one will pan out when the awards are for the 2025, right?
Yes.
African Footballer of the Year will be named. Remember, it's also an AFCON year. And if CAF will take that award after into the AFCON, it will mean that whatever the trajectory will also change. We won't have
That's where I want to
at AFCON. Okay, Sam. So right now, the leading contender, we agree are these 5 players who are leading.
Yes.
But there's an AFCON in December to be hosted
That
by
cross
Morocco.
over. That will cross over.
That will cross over into January.
Yeah.
So if the award crosses over to the AFCON, the trajectory could change.
It could
If
twist.
Nigeria go on to win the AFCON, for example, with Victor Osimhen, or and Egypt go on to win the AFCON with Mohamed Salah.
Now, Morocco could win.
Now, that's what I'm saying.
Morocco winning the AFCON.
See, you're not back to what we spoke about earlier enough. Clearly define this thing. In AFCON year, what are the criteria? In a normal year without AFCON, what are the criteria? In AFCON year, do AFCON take precedence? Do AFCON become the major consideration
Yes.
over other competitions?
competitions.
Now, these are the things we're asking.
You know, it's
That's what
not,
we're
it's not
saying.
consistent.
Yeah.
Because if you say, do AFCON
I
take
blame
precedence, we go
CAF.
back to 2020,
I blame-
2013.
yeah.
No, we're
saying.
asking
That's
questions.
what
That's what
I'm
we're saying. They
asking.
should clear it.
I
They
blame
should
CAF.
define it.
See, I blame
They should
CAF
define
for all
it.
these issues, and I'll tell you why.
The Ballon d'Or came out and
Clear
3 weeks ago and
yes.
said their criteria for the Ballon d'Or
Simple as
award
this.
this year.
It came out.
And they came out.
They gave us a
Simple.
date. But the thing is, CAF, see, I blame CAF. I'll tell you why. Let me give you. We have played this African Cup of Nations in January. We played it in December. We played it in June and
Don't
July.
forget about it. It's not even
There is no
timing.
tentative date.
No,
So
what
this year
clearly
it
defined-
could be before the AFCON.
Whether-
The next year could be after the AFCON.
Whether
And
it's
there's no
before,
criteria.
whether it's before or after, tell us in AFCON year what take
What is- is-
what take
we
place.
don't have
But if the award,
Now,
the award
coming
happened
back to
before
you.
We
the
don't have an
AFCON.
AFCON year because we don't have a
Yeah,
calendar.
that's another thing. Now, coming back to just what we're trying to talk about here. The
Realistically,
simple example here is
yeah,
this, right?
we're throwing out the
The
box.
reason why we had a lot of basketballs this year in the what they call it, Ballon. I mean, is it the Ballon d'Or?
Ballon d'Or,
Yeah,
yeah.
the Ballon d'Or. It's
So what
because
happened
of-
last time out? Now they've come
No,
out
it's
clear.
because of Europe.
Yeah,
Because
they've come out.
winning the Premier League alone is not enough.
Ballon d'Or means European best player.
I
forget what they call it,
know.
Ballon d'Or.
I understand. No,
Yes.
winning Premier League isn't enough. Why was his name Rodri won? It's because they won the Euro.
Yes.
Because
Right.
this guy won the
was the
Champions
factor.
League.
Yes.
This guy won the Champions League.
What's his name?
Who's his name?
Vinicius.
Vinicius. I think he won Champions League.
Yes.
He won the league, right?
Yes.
They won the league, right?
And they
Last
won
season.
it perfect
And so
level, yeah.
the same league, the difference in this case, they won two major trophies, but the difference is one
For Europe,
one
they
is
won
considered higher.
than the other. In Europe, the Euro stands first. In this thing, the World Cup stands first.
Well, we wait to see how that one will pan out for the African Footballer of the Year. Let's hear from you in the comment section what you think the top 3 for this year's African Footballer of the Year should be. Of course, we narrowed it down to 5 players: Omar Marmoush of Egypt and Manchester City and Eintracht Frankfurt. Of course, there's a reason why because he had 2 seasons with one season, but in 2 clubs rather. Of course, there's also a certain Serhou Guirassy of Guinea who was fantastic with Borussia Dortmund, the joint highest goal scorer in the UEFA Champions League. There is a Victor Osimhen, of course, the former African Footballer of the Year, Nigerian's pride, African's king. Of course, if you want to also add in that rate, but of course, there's a Mohamed Salah, so the African king is a small king on it. Fantastic season with Turkish side Galatasaray. They want him to stay, like I can also say, maybe it's time to open a GoFundMe or crowdfund for Osimhen to stay. There is a certain Mohamed Salah, the Egyptian king, undisputed, arguably Africa's greatest footballer. You could go and argue that, of course, the Perez of this world, the Roger Mila, the Kanu Wanko of this world, you know, the Yaya Toure, the Samuel Eto'o Fields. But you cannot underestimate the scoring powers of Mohamed Salah. Not a striker, but he scored so much goals that even the greatest African footballers cannot touch his garment if he stands in their front. And then there's a certain Achraf Hakimi. He's knocked on the door several times, but he's never won it. Will it finally be the year for him? Let's hear from you in the comment section your top 3 for the 2025 African Footballer of the Year. Football Tempo brought to you by Azar Studios.